Tots Lahane, a good day. It's a good place to stop and rest. Traditionally, stories were never told in the spring and summer months. The only time to tell stories is in the winter months or when you're traveling. Because in the spring and summer months, you had to gather foods and prepare them for the long winter months ahead. But since I've been traveling and it's getting cool outside, we're legal and I can tell some of these stories. Now, anytime the people would gather to tell stories or to exchange information, an elder would always sing a song because it was said that a person's heart must be in the right place to receive the information that's going to be shared with the group. Wakawantayati ki hiwas wakima wantain, te klupeme, kumati noka, pilyo ni uku wati pawian patwichna, te klupama wantain, wakap kanyawa niptayati. I just said that this is a very old song which is handed down from generation to generation. Yo ho ho elo, yo ho ho elo, yo ho ho elo, ya ha ha ya, ya ha ha ya, yo ho ho elo, yo ho ho. Very old song, and to bring a tear to a glass eye. But now that we're laughing and feeling childlike, I can tell some of these stories. Now, the children would hear these stories every winter time from the time that they were in cradle boards all the way until they grew up and they became the ones to tell the stories to the children. So this is how the knowledge of the people was passed down from generation to generation. And it was said that no matter how many times you heard a story or no matter how many times you told a story, you would always learn something from these stories. Now, in these stories, the children, they would learn about their surroundings. They would learn how they were expected to behave. We only told these stories as we traveled because all of the hills and the rocks and the trees, they're all landmarks. If you tell these stories in a certain order, you can get anywhere you want to go in Nez Perce country. And you could tell where you were by the story that was being told. Now, most of these stories, they took place during a time that our people refer to as Titwatityayat, or legend days. During this time, all of the animals walked on their hind legs and they all spoke the same language. It was during this time that Coyote lived here in this valley, and every springtime, he would travel up onto the Palouse Prairie to visit his cousin, the fox. One spring while Coyote was away, a huge monster came up out of the ocean onto the land. This monster was so large, when he'd open his mouth and draw in a breath, all of the plants and animals would fly into his stomach. This monster's name was Letsuetsik, the swallowing monster. Now, Meadowlark knew that Coyote was very smart and had great power. Coyote would be able to defeat this monster. So Meadowlark flew as fast as he could to find Coyote. 3 days later, he came to Fox's den and Meadowlark hollered, "It's a yaya, come by a humtits. Coyote, Coyote, come quick." Coyote came rushing out of Fox's den and asked Meadowlark what was going on. And Meadowlark told Coyote about this huge monster that was devouring all of the animal people. So Coyote came up with a plan to defeat this monster. He went to the trees and he began to gather pitch. When he had enough pitch, he made a large ball and he put that in his sack. Then Coyote gathered 5 stone knives. He wrapped them in clean buckskin and he put those in his sack. Then Coyote gathered hemp, and Coyote braided this hemp into good strong rope. He bundled that up and he put that in his sack. When Coyote had gathered all of the tools that he would need to defeat this monster, he went to the sweat lodge and he crawled inside and he sweat for a long time, really hot to clean himself because he didn't want to taste bad to this monster. When he was finished, Coyote gathered his things and he came back to this valley. Coyote could see the monster sleeping down in the valley, so he took out his rope and he tied one end around his waist, and he tied the other end around a mountain. And Coyote hollered at this monster, "Iletswetsik, you can't devour me, my power's too strong." The monster woke up and he looked around, but he didn't see anyone. All he heard was that voice, "Iletswetsik, you can't devour me, my power's too strong." The monster opened his mouth and drew in a breath, but Coyote just went to the end of his rope and stopped. Coyote starts singing songs, teasing this monster, trying to get him angry. He'd sing, "Kutskutzenich, uneye, uneye, kutskutzenich, uneye, uneye." And all the monster got angry. He emptied out his lungs and he drew in a huge breath. This time Coyote cut his rope and he went flying into the monster's stomach. It was really dark in there. Coyote couldn't see anything, so he took out his ball of pitch and he built a fire. And the fat melted from the monster's heart and dripped into the fire and kept it going. The monster gripped his chest. Oh, that Coyote! Whew. Oh, the heartburn, it was so bad. Whew. Now Coyote could see. Many of the animals already devoured nothing but bone. Some of the animals were sick and others were scared. So Coyote told these animals, "You gather up these bones and you put them in front of all of the holes in the monster. Because when he takes his last breath, he'll open up. And you kick those bones out and follow right behind." So the animals gathered up the bones and they put them in front of all of the holes in the monster. Coyote reached down to get his knives, and Rattlesnake was there. Rattlesnake snapped at Coyote. Coyote asked Rattlesnake, "Why are you snapping at me? I'm here to save you. You move aside and let me go to work." But Rattlesnake wouldn't listen, so Coyote got mad and stepped on his head. That's why to this day, Rattlesnake's head is flat. Coyote took out one of his knives, and he went over to the heart of the monster. And Grizzly Bear was standing in the way. Coyote told Grizzly Bear, "Move aside so I can go to work." Now Grizzly Bear, he didn't like being bossed around by this little Coyote. So he roared at Coyote, and he swung at Coyote with his huge paws. Coyote asked Grizzly Bear, "Why are you roaring at me? I'm here to save you. You move aside and be quiet. Let me go to work." Konma imosau. But Grizzly Bear wouldn't listen, so Coyote got mad and punched him in the nose. That's why to this day, Grizzly Bear's nose is flat. Coyote took his knife, and he began to cut on the heart of the monster. And the monster rolled around in agony, hollering, "Coyote, come out!" But Coyote wouldn't listen. He just kept cutting away. Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting on the monster's heart. And the monster began to beg Coyote to come out. He'd say, "Coyote, Coyote, come out. Come out my ear." Coyote said, "No, I'm not going to come out your ear, because then all the animal people will make fun of me. They'll say, 'Oh, there goes old man Coyote, a ball of earwax.'" Again, Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting away. And the monster kept begging Coyote to come out. He'd say, "Coyote, Coyote, come out. Come out my nose." Coyote said, "No, I'm not going to come out your nose, because then all the animal people will say, 'Oh, there goes old man Coyote, a ball of snot.'" Again, Coyote slipped and broke his knife, so he picked up another knife and he kept cutting away. And oh, the monster, he was getting desperate. He said, "Coyote, Coyote, come out the back." Coyote said, "No, I'm staying right here." Finally, Coyote was down to his last knife. There was only one piece of flesh holding the heart in place. Coyote turned to the animals and he said, "Get ready, this monster's going to die. When he takes his last breath and he opens up, you kick those bones out and follow right behind. Go quickly, because there won't be much time." Coyote reached up and he started to cut, and he slipped and he broke his knife. So he grabbed the heart and he pulled as hard as he could. Finally, the heart broke free, and the monster took one last huge breath and opened up. The animals kicked the bones out and followed right behind. Now Muskrat's really conceited, because every time you see Muskrat up on the bank, he's always grooming himself. And Muskrat's sitting in the belly of the monster, grooming away, and he looks around and he notices he's all by himself. He had to figure out what to do, and quick. Muskrat ran as fast as he could, but just as his body cleared, the monster closed up tight. And Muskrat pulled and pulled and pulled, but he couldn't get his tail free. So he called for Coyote. "It's a yaya, it's a yaya, help, I'm stuck." Coyote looked around the body of this huge monster, but he didn't see anyone. "Menehewas, where are you?" I'm underneath the monster's tail. So Coyote walked around to the back of the monster. Sure enough, there's Muskrat. Coyote grabbed Muskrat's paws and he started to count. Nox, Lepit, Metot, and he pulled as hard as he could. When Coyote did this, it pulled all the fur off Muskrat's tail. And Coyote scolded Muskrat. He said, I told you to hurry up. I told you didn't have much time, but you just dawdled along. From now on, all of your descendants will be reminded of how pokey you are. That's why to this day, Muskrat has no fur on his tail. Now, many of the animals, they said, oh, let that monster's body lie there and rot. Serves him right for coming up onto the land and causing all this trouble. But Coyote had a use for this monster. Coyote cut off the monster's legs, and he threw him way up north into a place we call Canada today. From that place, the long-legged people will be from. That's where the tall Blackfoots are from. Coyote cut off the monster's head, and he threw that way over to the east into a place we call Montana today. From that place, the Flathead people are from. And Coyote did this, cutting off parts of this monster, and he threw these parts in all different directions, and people sprang up from those parts. Finally, there was nothing left but the heart and a few ribs. And the animals came to Coyote and they said, what about this place here? It's very beautiful, and you didn't put anyone here. So Coyote told Crane, go down to the river and get some water. Coyote picked up the heart of the monster, and he squeezed the blood from the heart. And he took the water and he washed the blood from his hands. As the blood hit the ground, people sprang up. And Coyote said, these people, they'll live here in this beautiful place. They won't be a very big people because I've deprived them, but they'll have big hearts, and they'll be the fiercest on the battlefield. And that's how the Nez Perce come to live in this valley, and that's how Coyote created people. Today, you can still see the heart of the monster. It turned to stone, and it's still sitting there to this day as a reminder of where we, the Nez Perce, the Nimipu, come from, and that we're a part of the land. Thank you very much.